Yo, thanks for popping in, everybody. This is our Sunday FG stream. Doing a Bitcoin crypto update for you guys. Getting started in about 1 minute here. What is up, everybody? Got the people pouring in. Got about 30 people watching. Make sure you guys all hit the likes as we get into how the FG Groper's been doing, how the markets are doing, how you guys been doing. Tell me how you guys are doing. Alrighty, I got myself a nice little drink here, and we'll go ahead and get started, guys. So thanks for popping in. This is our Sunday TA update, but it's also just an update on my trading journey. So the last week was tough for me because my edge was not being satisfied. That being said, I did take the trade. I took some longs like on these lows here. I was getting in at lows because we were in that new week, right? See, Monday, Tuesday. This was Monday and Tuesday. These lows here. And I did try to long this, even though I kind of knew that it probably wasn't going to work. But I did it anyways because it was trades made out of love, because I was looking at the chart and I was like, man, if these supports break, let me turn on my supports here. There were some powerful monthly, look at these monthly supports that I was banking on here. And it didn't work, man. It did not work. Actually, I think it was, wait, was it these lows here? Sunday, Monday? No, it was definitely these lows down here. I was trying to long this shit for whatever reason. But I did end up losing. As you can see, I'm not funded on Breakout. I did lose these accounts, but the cool thing about funded trading is you're capped at that cost of eval. So, you know, it was a bad last week of trading, trying to catch this low. But ultimately, I'm playing with rules that are capping my maximum weekly loss. So I was willing to take that risk and defend that low there, because the alternative was we came all the way down here, and that's what happened is we came down into this void. You see the distance between these red lines, these monthly supports. Isn't that crazy that there was not a single monthly close in the entire last year, open or close or high, in this entire 10% range here? So I just felt like if we lost these supports, well then shit, it's probably going all the way down here. So I might as well take the trade, but it didn't work out. I should have taken the scalp profits, because even on the Klein funding account, I got set back pretty hard on this. So we're still up like 23 grand on the challenge, but I took a little bit of a hit on this guy as well. So it's been weird, man. Also, I had this meme coin play 6-7, which I've been like a big part of on Twitter as its community grows and gets more powerful, because like we got in super early. But if you guys recall, I called 6-7 at like this point right here, right at like 1.4 cents, and over the next 2 days, if you go on the daily chart, I actually like got us in pretty early. Like I got us in 2 days before the top. That being said, I held my 6-7, so I still have mine. I took a screenshot of my, this is my altcoin shitcoin little 6-7 portfolio. I got this FA coin too, which is a DBZ reference. I don't know if you guys have seen like on the TikToks, anytime someone gets punched in the face, it's like that fa, the fa sound. I just liked it. Like I feel like it fits the flopping Groper. It's got that flopping Groper stamp of approval, because anytime you hear fa, it's someone getting flopped and groped. So I went ahead and like got a little bit of that too, but that's just like totally for the lulz. In fact, both of these plays totally for the lulz. But this was a nice call that I did on this 6-7 coin. What was that percent? So I called like a 200% move on this 6-7 coin, but then it crashed about 60 to 70%. You can't make this shit up, folks. It crashed 69% there. We're going to see that 6-7 number a lot in trading, because it's the 618 retracement. It's the 786 retracement. So 6 or 7. Most retracements are around 60 to 70%. So some of you guys might be too old to get this joke, but just think of it this way, like a 6 and a 7. It looks like a yin yang, right? It's kind of like a yin yang. So think of it like a yin yang symbol. You have the flopper and the groper, the darkness and the light, the depths, and the ocean and the sky. There's so many different ways to think about this meme, But ultimately, it's just a viral little thing that the kids came up with, made it on South Park. Everybody's been fucking saying 6-7, so I went ahead and got this because my name, FG, F is the 6th, G is the 7th letter of the alphabet. Out of pure superstition, I got myself a little bit of this. Now, there was a fake 6-7 coin that was launched just the other day. Make sure you guys are following like the real kid and his family. Let's see here. Yeah, this is the real kid's account. So he's not that big on Instagram. He's bigger on TikTok than he is on Instagram. But there's fake accounts on Instagram with like 500k followers. So those people who are pretending to be this 14-year-old kid or whatever, they like bought this fake account with 500k followers, made their own coin, and they're trying to steal this kid's success and fame, and it's basically like on-chain child abuse that's like happening against this kid. So I'm praying for this kid and his family. Even though like meme coins, launching a meme coin is not like the most honorable thing you could do. Even still, I think if a kid wants to get into crypto and their experience with it is just a bunch of people vamping and pretending to be them and trying to steal all their money and impersonating and scamming and copying, like, it's such a bad look, man. It makes us look terrible. So if you do end up getting this coin 6-7, you're kind of making a stance. You're making a stance for the children in crypto, man, which crypto is probably not a place where kids should be playing around in. But also, I want you guys to follow this YouTube channel, The Nexus. This is Trader Geo's conglomerate group of people who are in his VIP, and like they started a show. So go ahead and subscribe to Enter the Nexus. Enter the Nexus. And you'll see an episode starring me posting there in a couple days. ARAM777 says, how come Leapfrog is 65% off, not 67? Oh, that was a missed opportunity. Totally missed that opportunity, man. But I wanted it to match the gobble gobble. So Leapfrog and Market Cypher are both 65% off right now for Black Friday. So my sale on Leapfrog, code gobble gobble, ends on the 30th. Not sure about the Market Cypher one, but both of mine and my brother's indicators and communities are 60% off right now. And hopefully that'll appease you guys for the fact that this week is really not a week that I really want to trade that much at all, guys. Not gonna lie. I mean, here we are on Sunday night, and we're already at last week's VWAP. So already, this week is looking different than my typical A+ setup here. If I wanted to catch an entry back to this VWAP that we're already at, we would have to take potentially the weekly low or some of these resistances up here. If we did somehow defy this 5-day downtrend somehow and just shoot up here like tonight or something, I mean, I don't think that could happen. But if we did come up here, you would be running into the month-to-date VWAP, a bearish month-to-date November VWAP here. So you'd probably get a correction back down into last week's VWAP from that point. Or if we did dump down tonight, take these lows here, you could look for some longs down in these supports all the way down to like 73k. Actually, there's prior monthly support down here. And that is actually the last, geez, is that the last monthly support of the year? Yeah, so, man, we're down to our last supports, guys. It's crazy how fast it happened. But on this macro, I mean, this is a macro downtrend that we're in. The name of the stream is Downtrend Update. So it's tough, man. This is a tough spot for me personally, because look at that 5-day downtrend, guys. You know, even though the previous week to date VWAP is overhead, it gives you a bullish slant in most weeks. Also on the daily, we have a very strong daily wave here. This is the wave that I posted in my thumbnail last week. It was supposed to clip here. This was supposed to be a green dot right here. It got totally denied, and we came down like multiple days lower, plunged into the 2024 year to date. Look at this crazy VWAP macro support that we actually plunged into recently, wicking down into this void right here. It is nice that we're creating a monthly low potentially in this void right here, because that was a void that needed a little bit of structure in there. This daily wave and the fact that last week's VWAP is overhead does kind of paint a picture. Also, the money flow is kind of scooping up on some of these middle time frames. I see money flow scooping up. So there's like definitely some signs of like a potential like push to the upside, but also like the slope of this trend, guys, the structure, the market structure itself, the trend is still an insanely strong downtrend. And here we are at major resistance already. We're already at a prior monthly high low, this red line here. Let's zoom in and see what's going on here on these smaller time frames. Bitcoin is really fighting a strong downtrend right now, which definitely makes you cast doubt on this push to the upside here. Might get some manipulation over the previous week to date, but I personally cast doubt on it. And also, the best trades to this previous week to date VWAP, since we're already here, it's almost like you want to wait for an extreme to get tagged and then trade back to this point. So there's no trade right now for me, but perhaps the next couple days, if we go up or down into these high time frame levels on either side, maybe there's a trade back to pretty much where we are currently. But it's not a typical week, guys. You know, usually when we do these streams, you guys have seen enough of my streams. Usually at this point in the chart, this previous week to date is a good distance away to where it's a solid trade target. Whereas right now, I don't have any FOMO to enter. I have no will to enter a trade right now, but it's because you'd be entering at VWAP, you know? So it's been shitty. It's been shitty. The start of this month started good, but ultimately, like, the price has been in expansion. So my setup is mean reversion, and we have not seen mean reversion. We have seen pure expansion to the downside as this yearly leapfrog move just slices down the chart, eager to return to last year's VWAP before the new year. This is a scary place to be. We put that vertical line on January. Very, very small chance, in my opinion, that we come back up to these highs before the new year. I think we're pretty much cooked for the time being, although we may ping around. At best, we're going sideways in this shit. And you guys know that middle quarter, random week in the middle month of a quarter, This is not where FG does the best. And also, price that just goes in one direction and never mean reverts back to last week's VWAP or runs to last week's VWAP on a Sunday night. This is not the A+ shit that I like to take. Another point during the year that I was struggling with this very same environment was like right here. We had slammed up into strong resistance, no pullbacks, just pure momentum. And in environments like this, you'll see some traders absolutely murdering it. I remember at this time, my brother was killing it, and I had people in my group complaining that I wasn't giving them any long trades. And I'm like, if it's so obvious for you to long, then long it, bro. Like, why do you need me to tell you to long it? You know? Like, if I don't want to trade, I don't have to trade just to, like, make you guys happy. Like, if I trade to make people happy and not when I see my A+ setup, then, like, what are we doing here? You know? So, I have recognized that there's times in the chart where you don't see mean reversion, you see expansion. Spotting those environments is really important. That moment for me was when we lost some major, like we came into a new week and we took old, like, high time frame support, we tagged it, and we didn't go higher, we just went lower. So that was like, okay, this is not a normal week. This is extremely volatile, down only madness, you know? So a lot of traders, like, I'm not going to tell you that it can't be done. There's traders on Breakout still cranking payouts. There's scalpers trading every day and flexing profits. And usually when someone tells you it can't be done, they say that at the same time someone else is actually doing it. So, you know, props to the people who are navigating through these waters unscathed. For me personally, though, I took hits on my funded accounts trying to trade my setup last week. And when that didn't work out, I didn't chase the play. I didn't bang my head against a wall, buy a bunch more funded accounts, and keep banging my head on the same bad idea. To me, it's kind of automatic to this point to just take a step back. I took that healthy step back and I looked at other things in my life that I could get going on. I've been studying for my CMT exam. I've been hiking 4 days a week. I got a personal trainer. I'm working with the marketing agency. I needed to get headshots taken for my SEO shit. Right now, if you search Google, if you search Nick Cypher, it's like ISIS comes up. So when this team is done with me, you'll see like professional pictures on my Google search, and it'll be me popping up. But I've been working on all that stuff in the shadows. In the meantime, kind of just waiting for this price action to become normal again. It's a very emotional, extreme period of price action. As a leverage trader, we don't need these extreme periods to make profit, because the leverage and the volatility that we accept is fully customizable. So what I would rather do is wait for a period in time in the chart that makes perfect sense to me. Then I crank up that volatility. Patience is like the hardest skill to learn as a trader, because on social media, especially in my shoes, with a lot of other teachers and educators, people that I know are amazing traders. They have all these ideas and all these things to say about the chart. It makes me want to take a trade. I see snake eyes on the daily, one of the biggest, bullish signals you could possibly ask for on Market Cypher's daily chart. I see it bounce off the year-to-date VWAP here. but I still need to get that good price. What would make me potentially take a trade this week, going into this next week? Technically, by my logic, looking at the chart, the best entry for a long is the weekly low. And if you look at what else is going on down there, we've got other big supports for the year. Basically, this is the April low. This is like February, March, and April, you know? So we've got 3 months of like major lows down here, where if we did lose this weekly low, I don't think that would be it. I think that we would probably come down and chop down in here. This is such a bad scenario. There's nothing that really speaks to me as to which of these would hold. It doesn't look pretty to me compared to some weeks where I just walk in, it looks perfect, it looks obvious, I take the trade, it's clean, we get funded, we get the payout, there's no stress. But these times are simply different. These are weird times, man. These are weird times. A lot of things are speaking kind of bullishly, but then we still have this strong 5-day downtrend here. Ultimately, we are under all quarterly VWAPs. Underperforming for the month, underperforming for the quarter. Strange times indeed. If you are bullish, know that there could be chopping up here this week for sure, but also there's definitely going to be dumpage, and it's going to be a kind of a sideways environment as this 5-day trend scoops from down to sideways, then to up, like this. You know, it's going to be kind of later in the week, in my opinion, for typical price action like this to actually work its way up. To me, it makes more sense that if you're bullish, then you kind of just want to pick a really greedy entry for yourself, like maybe you know, there's some powerful monthly support right here, right at this low right here, 85.3. Depending on what you see there, maybe that could be a potential entry there. But if that didn't work, I would kind of just go back on the sidelines until the weekly low. If there was a strong reaction, if this was a clear SFP, I would take that, knowing with confidence that we could go back to the previous week to date VWAP. But what could happen here is we just see continued weakness and spill over into these 3 or 4 months of macro high time frame supports. So yeah, man, stupid price action for me, man. Leaderboards, I'm still doing okay this month, despite not closing any profits in almost 2 weeks. We're still ranked 29. 20K withdrawn. The only thing is that these accounts that I got that 20K with, they are gone. I don't have those anymore, so I'll have to pass new funded challenges and approach December with like a fresh mindset. The Klein funding has just been going really slow because of that stability score roll. I would have passed this challenge like 2 times over if I could just let my runners run, but yeah, that stability score rule is actually keeping me kind of like stuck halfway through the challenge. So I'm just kind of chewing through this at a snail pace, but I will get this 200K funding eventually. And the good thing about Klein is they have a really very generous daily drawdown limit of 7%. Looking at the heat map here, guys, my gosh, there actually is a lot of heat down below. Interesting, interesting. So the heat map has a lot of heat down here at 83.2. What is going on down there? That's like not a very convincing heat map area, because all we have there is a previous daily high low. It's not like there's some crazy, really anything going on there. Is that what that is? A CME gap? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at that CME gap. Oftentimes, after a weekend, we like to come down and fill this gap, guys. So we do have a little bit of a gap down there, but it is higher up. Yeah, I mean, the liquidity is like down here in like the 83s. Right now, it's still floating over the VWAP from the gap. But once we lose like this current daily VWAP that we're in, it's going to be very apparent that we are going after that gap. So we'll go back to our regular chart here. So currently we are over 2 daily VWAPs. It's actually like kind of a, on like a small time frame, bullish spot to be in, but with context, you're a lot more cautious than this leads you to believe. With that CME gap, you kind of, and also this previous week to date VWAP resistance here, and also that big 5-day downtrend, you're kind of anticipating this to lose the 2 daily VWAPs, come down, fill that CME gap, and then probably hit those shitters on the heat map down here. Right here at this level at the very least. That would be a B setup, B leapfrog setup. If we did bounce from there and then come back to the previous week to date, that would be a B setup. Usually I don't take B setups anymore because the B setup is at risk of getting devoured by the C setup, which is the taking of the entire high time frame low. Like, if it's this last week's VWAP that you want to trade to, the best price is going to be down here at last week's low, you know? So yeah, you could bet on this, on that little area holding there, but that's really all you're doing is you're just betting. It's not really screaming to you like most weeks that I've shown you guys, where coming Sunday into Monday, there's like a very obvious support and resistance to play off of, and a previous week's VWAP that's sufficiently far enough away to make the trade mouth-watering and worth taking. Crypto Crank in the chat. Shout out to Crank. I saw Trader Geo in here as well. Shout out to you guys. Crank said you got to layer out. That's true, man, but there's no way around. There's no way around the fact that my winners are really, really important to my success. And like hitting them hard is really important to my success. But the pressure has been molding me. Having to deal with stability score does make me pickier, a lot pickier, you know? It makes me just really not want to take anything that's not like an A+ setup, like. And thankfully I have enough on my plate where being patient, I'm in a point of abundance where I don't have to trade to eat or to pay rent, you know what I mean? So if there's not a trade for the week, it's like, meh, whatever. But I get the feeling. I mean, as a person who comes out on YouTube, who's got a VIP, you know, it's not the best look or the best feeling telling you that this week sucks. But that's just the price charts. You know, life is good. I hope life's good for you guys, man. We got Thanksgiving right around the corner. We got Black Friday. We got Christmas coming. We got the New Year. Let's take a look at some of these altcoins here. Yeah, what's crazy is like here we are on Sunday looking at Ripple. Here we are on a Sunday already at last week's VWAP. Like, what is this shit, man? We're not supposed to be here already. And so it's like, why there's not a trade here? Later in the week, maybe there's a reaction back here. But nothing's really speaking to me. Crank said, that amount to get funded will continue to jump if you do not layer out. I have the stability score completely under control. Yeah, man, I'm totally aware of, like, with a funded account, you have to be radically within the rules. You don't edge the rules. You can't be an edgelord like that. I'm totally aware. That's why I still have the account. You know? But the thing is that I'm capable of catching sniper entries where the risk is like totally normal, but the percent gain is insane. So like a lot of my executions are duds. Like almost 60% of my actual executions fail or get stopped out for a small loss, but like the ones that do stick really work. So if you nerf that, if you tell me that I have to get out or scale out of those when it's not really like the time in the charts to scale out, it's going to hurt my overall performance a little bit. Unless, of course, I stay trading those A+ setups. But yeah, XRP already at last week's VWAP. Fartcoin, last week's VWAP. Interestingly, Litecoin actually does have a nice gap up to last week's VWAP, about a 6% gap there. I wonder why that's the case, but if Litecoin came down and took the weekly low, I think that actually, weirdly enough, Litecoin looks like a potential. That looks like a nice kind of move on Litecoin right there. You come down, you SFP the weekly low, and then you trade back to that weekly VWAP. I might take this later in the week. Potentially with a wide stop there, or maybe I'll have a tight stop. If it hits this, I might try a second attempt down here at around 76. So for some reason, Litecoin is showing a more traditional like weekly VWAP reversion trade setup here. Whereas a lot of these other, let's see here, BNB is very similar to Litecoin. Some of these cryptos do have a gap up to that. Like look at Sui here, an 8.5%. So I wouldn't FOMO into it now. We're already at like daily resistance and a 5-day downtrend. The fact that we're in that 5-day downtrend makes you very picky with entries. You got to get that good price. You got to get that sweep of the weekly low. So like later in the week, if we hit this level, and you're seeing on like the 10 to 30 minute chart, good Heiken Ashi candles coming, maybe you could take that trade like that. Same with Aster here. Aster's got a nice gap up to its previous week to date. Best price for that, or at least a good price for that, would be the weekly low. So if God allows it, if God brings us back down here to this weekly low, you could use that advantageous price to potentially hop in that trade there. Tide Shift Visuals says thoughts on Aster. I don't really have any strong thoughts on Aster, the actual product, other than I can just comment on the price. It does actually look like Aster has, for the most part, held its November VWAP, the white line. It's kind of in a pinch between the November white VWAP and the blue October VWAP. So we're pinched between the November and October VWAP here. Therefore, you can't really say too much about it until we break like this range right here. It's basically in this sideways channel. So right now it's a little bit sideways, but given that last week's VWAP is above, you could potentially get like an entry at like the weekly low, you know, and just hope that you trade back to the top of the channel, basically. Nothing crazy though. Meg L8D, good to see you in as always. Let's take a look at Arrow real quick. Little chart recommendation. Okay. Strong 5-day downtrend. A lot of supports that became resistance now flipped. This is a battle going on here, man. This is an absolute battle. I'd say that this previous week today is a potential upside target, but you got to be picky. You got to get an entry. I personally would not think this is juicy unless it came all the way to the weekly low. It could very easily pump from here, or come down to, it could just take this little red monthly low barely and then go up. It could bounce off this previous little green daily line too and go up. But I don't mess with any of that stuff. I pick the lowest high time frame support for longs and the highest high time frame resistances for shorts. Like, you can't screw around with leverage, man. So yeah, with Arrow, so far it's holding on its current daily VWAP here. But if Bitcoin does take a tumble and it fills that CME gap, you know, you would lose these two daily VWAPs, and it does become more apparent that we're coming for some of these people down here. A couple other charts here. Strike. Let's see. Are you talking about Strike as in Michael Saylor's company? There is a Strike crypto coin here. I think this is what he's talking about. I think he's talking about this Strike crypto coin here. And now this coin does have a massive gap back up to last week's VWAP of 45%. Mr. Lelam in the chat is saying that it's a privacy coin that's been going off recently. So, yeah, man, this is potentially a massive bearish retest of like the 5MA. See this 5MA up here? Even though it's down sloped, it hasn't been tested yet. So I do see like the money flow kind of curving up. Let's go a couple time frames here. It's crazy. Like, even if you FOMO'd into this now, that target up there is so high up that it makes it worth it. But I would say that given the context of everything we're seeing on Bitcoin, and also this wave setup just kind of looks a little immature to me. It's not really speaking to me. I'd kind of expect, like, this is a heavy wave. I would expect, like, a second kind of deeper head to form here, but try to catch some high time frame, anything at the weekly low or lower. So, you know, it's like you keep these upside targets in mind, but you got to be greedy as all hell. You know, you have that potential long trade. Think of it like you have to, within 3 attempts, you got to catch the bottom. So I wouldn't fiddly fart around anywhere unless the weekly low got tagged. Then you could try maybe this monthly low down here, maybe this big one down here. But I wouldn't bash my head against the wall for it, man, because who knows, bro? Who knows if this thing just has to go shoot straight down? Like I said, man, like, it hasn't been a mean reversion type of environment. It's been very expansionary, very middle of the month, kind of just going with the quarterly trend, which is down. And this has happened in quarters before, where we stop going back to last week's VWAP. We just start riding this quarterly trend that just keeps going and going. So these types of environments have, they have historically ground me up to pieces. Like, I've lost accounts to environments like this in the past without good risk management. So keep that in mind, man. Just keep in mind that you got to be picky. You got to be open. You can't get married to this idea that it has to go up there. There's a difference between having conviction and using that trade bias effectively and, like, falling on the sword, you know? We trust that bias in most cases, but not enough to fall on the sword and stake our identity and our accounts on that move happening. Let's take a look at XMR, I mean. Strange case here of the previous week to date being lower. So I think this is a pretty done deal. We are going to come down and plunge into that 5MA again. So see how when you pump out of a declining 5MA, see how we pump out of that? You get this move after. It's almost like a false move. So I'm pretty sure Monero experienced a little bit of a impatient rally here. But this has bought time, valuable time for the 5-day trend to repair this week. So look for that, like, healthy retracement here. But then maybe a potential hold down here around tree 50, potentially. Andrew Cameron said the drama queens on X are pulling out the pitchforks against JP Morgan. X is crazy, man. If you guys want to follow me, I'm flopping Groper over on X. X is crazy, bro. It's just tons of crybabies. Bunch of liars. I just had a tweet earlier today. Can't wait for the day trader bubble to finally pop so the real ones get the recognition. It's crazy how many people totally copied doing what me and my brother did all those years ago. It's weird to like be one of the OGs who started that trend and like did all that work to solve all the solutions. Like how does a business collect cryptocurrency payments in a way that's safe and trustworthy? We had to build those bridges, and like nowadays it's so easy to do all that. You just have a WAP. You know, it's like back in the day you needed to make a real website, and like it was a hurdle to get over to like create the company and the business model that we have. But nowadays, man, like anyone, and a 17-year-old kid could do it in 10 seconds, you know? So it's kind of like music, how everyone became a SoundCloud rapper. Everybody became a trader. Everybody became an AI, an artist. You could apply this to any industry except a few. It's easier than ever to be whoever you want these days, for better or for worse. But XPL, we're looking at this chart, a chart recommendation by one of our good friends in the chat. This is an interesting one. So we're not that far from our weekly low on the hourly chart, and we're very far from last week's VWAP. Last week's VWAP is 20% overhead on XPL. So I don't know much about XPL. But a traditional setup that I would take in a typical week would be you observe if we do or when we do take this weekly low here. That would then be an advantageous price in the new weekly period to trade back to last week's VWAP there. So we take last week's low. That's your entry to last week's VWAP. Pretty simple logic there. And if that doesn't work, well then screw this chart. I'm not, you know, it's like you don't bang your head against the wall, because ultimately you're in this 5-day downtrend. And you know, with Bitcoin the way it is, in the type of downtrend it is in, with the previous week being expansion to the downside, no mean reversion whatsoever, it makes this week a little bit risky. It does cast an air of fear and uncertainty and doubt on the validity of some of these bullish weekly leapfrogs that we're seeing on some of these shit coins. But just know that most weeks catching like the prior weekly high low, usually actually a good trade back to the prior weekly VWAP, even in the midst of a 5-day downtrend. Because that's the point where that 5-day downtrend gets defied, is with that confluence of time frames around a new weekly candle. So you're looking at this weekly candle, and yeah, I mean, you just target, what else do you have to go by on the chart? What else do market makers have to go by on the chart other than like that low right there, you know? So all the market makers have to do is just stop buying until the price slips to that advantageous price, and then there's your entry. But yeah, it's got a good risk reward ratio, like you said, man. My man Jet trades in the chat, man. Jet is one of the Trader Geo guys who I did a show with yesterday, so hopefully you guys are uploading that interview / show we had soon. Make sure you guys go ahead and follow Enter the Nexus here. Let's pump them to 1K subscribers, and stay tuned for the episode with me and Jet and Geo in their squad launching in a couple days. Any other chart recommendations you guys got for me, man? Down to go over whatever else you got, but take a look at some Bitcoin heat maps here. Looking at the 1 week heat map on Bitcoin, there's a ray of liquidity all the way up to around 90K. Let's see what that looks like on the chart. What's going on up there? What a strange area for such a strong pocket of liquidity. What is that? 88.7. There's literally nothing there. I mean, yeah, there's the previous week-to-date VWAP, but who the hell are these people? Who are these people? Who's shorted with their stop loss here? There's literally nothing there. Like, there's no... If your stop loss is right here, what high time frame highs and lows are backing you up, man? There's nothing here. You're in a void all the way up to like 93. Like, if we do bust out of here, we're probably going way up here to these high time frame resistances much higher at around 92 to shit as high as 97, 98K all the way up to the month to date. You know? So the fact that these people here are like about to get wicked out, it's just like, who are these people, man? Sometimes I forget that we're trading against like 17-year-old kids. Gosh, look at this heat map, guys. Look at this 2 week heat map. Look at this 1 month heat map. Damn, you ain't kidding in the chat, man. Someone in the chat said 110K is the big short. Gosh, okay, here... Alrighty. We could talk bullish. We could talk bullish for a little bit. Because, you know, there's a lot of good things I am seeing. The 5-day trend hasn't repaired, but throughout this week, maybe it could. Maybe by the time we're out of this week, we are in a 5-day uptrend. And the day-to-day intraday price action isn't as cancerous as it is right now. If that does take place, I mean, we are bouncing off last year's VWAP here. This is a strong VWAP support. We do have a strong daily snake eyes double BitBoy green dot on the daily. We do have the month of December coming. Put a vertical line on December, and by the time we hit December, we actually may want to be back at that November VWAP here. If that happens, well, then you have the potential to rotate to the upside above it. So, you know, look for this push up to the month to date going into December. And you would want that to kind of just parlay into more upside until you test the quarterly VWAP. Bearishly, of course. So white, that's your first threshold at around like 97. If you bust through that, which I would say that we probably do burst through that with like pretty fierce momentum, but we kind of just go straight to where we really want to go, which probably is that quarterly VWAP. You know, I could definitely see us getting up here like rather quickly, like around like December 1st, like first week of December, we're kind of just back either at the November VWAP or higher up. And then that would make it so in December you have a bearish monthly leapfrog back down to the November VWAP. So, you know, if we did come up like this, then you have the December VWAP come, and then you would want that pullback back to the November VWAP here. So something like that, you know. But it's still a little bit early. You know, you guys are asking a lot of me here because we're coming into a new week already at what I would consider my A plus setup target. So it's clearly there's not a trade here on for me on Bitcoin here. Weekend moves usually not the most trustworthy. Makes you want to look lower for potential longs, but Meg's asking, is this a bull trap? Dead cat bounce into 2026. You know, the quarterly trend is down, you know. Bitcoin has done this almost all year. Like once it picks a side for the quarter, it doesn't really let up. When April was confirmed bullish, we didn't let up. You know, it spilled well into Q3, all the way into the end of July before, I mean, shit, it even all the way until August before we started correcting. When Q1 defined itself as bearish, that thing kept going well into deep into April. So, you know, now that this Q4 trend is bearish, it's hard to get out of a trend like this until you have an equally massive confluence of time frames, such as a new year. When we look at prior cycle interactions around year-to-date VWAPs, you guys will see here that you don't want to fall below 3 years of year-to-dates. Boom. So 3 year-to-date VWAPs here, 2020, 2021, 2022. You can see you're at this old cycle high back in 2021. You can see that right around this time, right around November, we started correcting. Look, we had a very similar wick right down to last year's VWAP, or what was last year's VWAP at the time. This move right here is essentially this move that we got right there. Because see, we've dumped to the 2024 year today. So look what happened after that point. There was not some sort of V bottom. There was no like healthy retracement back up to get this, like, you know, whatever. There, like this little area here that traders would typically target. There was none of that, man. We kind of just go sideways, and then New Year comes and it doesn't really provide relief. There's a little bit of a surge up, like right here, but man, like after that 50% correction, what was this? Was that a 50%er? That's a 40%. So, well, I mean, once you get that slice to the jugular, you know, it just starts bleeding out, you know? What was this percent dump? Around that same percentage, so. Couple that with Market Cypher's extremely bearish oscillators, guilty until proven innocent. RSI's losing that strong 90 level. Blue Waves officially losing the 60 line. Money flow reducing. The weekly trend, especially that hike in Ashi, indicating just a strong downtrend. Even if this thing has technically stopped or stalled, it's gonna do some sideways bullshit, like here or something. You know, it's like we might be down here for a little bit. That's what this larger downtrend is telling me, man. This is a scary... This weekly trend, the Heiken Ashi trend is really bearish right now. There's definitely some evidence of like potential slowing or reversal on the daily, but it just hasn't appeared on the weekly yet. And it hasn't appeared in our 5-day trend. Still so early, man. Still so early. Do you want to be that guy standing in front of the bearish momentum train at this time? That's up to you guys. Jet Trade says weekly structure is bearish. I think we get 110K, then push down. That'll be a lot of volatility, but it does coincide with us just trading in this larger VWAP pinch. The pinch between last year's year-to-date and the quarterly VWAP here. This is a crazy... This range is so ridiculous. This is a ridiculous range. And we're just running, man. It's just running like crazy. The silver lining is like, we're only 1 month away from the new year, guys. And around New Year, typically that's when you get a lot of really obvious high time frame liquidity events that present a lot of obvious trades across stocks and cryptos, commodities, and everything. So we're only 1 month away from another type of month like October. So by me kind of playing it cool and like not being emotionally attached to the shit that's going on, if I wait for January, maybe I'll hit another month like October, like another 30 or 40K month, just because like those starts of new quarters are just like so superior to any other month for me in terms of like my results. Because you get that new quarter and then it's like, it's very easy to just simply go to the 3-month chart and just map out where the previous 3-month candle's high low is. Like, it's so easy. I mean, it depends on the chart, but if you're looking at a lot of charts like I am, things will reveal themselves. Like, you just map out this current 3-month candle's high low, and in the new year, one of those levels will get tagged, and that's typically a fierce reaction level. So, right now, this is your range. It's kind of a retarded range here. That's another reason why this is a not very noob friendly trading environment. The end of the year, the final stretch, is where personally in the past I've given away a lot of the year's gains. And I've seen a lot of stories of traders who've given everything back in the final stretch of a year. So if you are someone who is profitable this year, I would say that your number one focus, like for the next month, is to just protect the run, play it cool, let this quarterly trend, like respect the fact that Q4 is bearish overall, even if we do come up a little bit. And ultimately, like, just wait for the new year, because the new year is a perfect time to look at Bitcoin in particular and be like, what is this thing? You know? Every year we ask, what the hell is this shit? And Bitcoin kind of morphs into something different every year based on our needs. But that's pretty much it for me, guys. So in closing, the breakout thing, I lost my funding, but I'm doing okay still. We're doing good, but I'll have to get funded again for December. Klein funding, still doing okay. 67 coin got a 60 to 70% retracement. could be over with, it could be done, but also this is another thing that I'm looking at for the new year, you know? So even if this comes down like that, like maybe to this old high, you go into like the new year, this could go completely flat going into the 2026. And then kind of like how Fartcoin exploded at the start of this year, maybe 6-7 explodes like at the start of next year. So yeah, I don't know, man. I want to bet on this coin because it's like the biggest meme that we've seen in years. So it's almost like a bet on the trenches in general, right? But just know that I'm not super duper heavily. I'm not like a whale in this shit. I just put a couple grand in because it's mostly like my curiosity is just peaked. I'm really curious how the trenches do as the Bitcoin Titanic sinks. Because if the trenches fail us, then there's really not much here. There's not much keeping us around here, man. Bitcoin goes into a bear market. The trenches ain't firing up. Without any like sufficient strong alt narrative, like what do we have, man? You know, so I guess it's a bet on hope, which maybe is a foolish idea. But that's it for me, guys. Go ahead and smash the likes. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. You can follow me on all my socials. I got an Instagram, Nick Cypher. My Twitter is Flopping Groper. And catch me. I mean, I'll be streaming every Sunday, but next year is going to be great for us. I'll be on like more podcasts than ever. The content will be of higher quality, and I'll have new blood, new people coming in, new eyeballs on everything that we've been working on the last couple of years. So it's going to be great, man. So just keep your heads up, and I'll catch you guys next week, and I'll be updating you guys in the VIP.